Mika, thank you. And we begin this morning with breaking news. Canada and the U.S. are close to a new deal to restrict travel at the border. CTV News has confirmed a deal is imminent between the American and Canadian governments to restrict tourists and visitors from crossing the border on both sides. Non-essential travelers won't be allowed to cross the border or enter either country via land, air, or water. Shipments, trade, and commerce will not be affected. We spoke to CTV's Richard Madden about the new development last night.
Essentially, what this means is that the Canadian border will be shut down to, quote, non-essential travel. I'm also told by top officials that it's, quote, imperative to protect trade and commerce. After all, a lot of the fruits and vegetables you buy at the grocery stores is shipped from trucks from the United States, whether it's oranges from Florida or tomatoes from Florida, into Canada.
Cam Woolley is live at Pearson Airport. We're starting today. It is one of only 4 airports in the country to accept U.S. nationals, but that too is likely to change very soon. Cam.
It sure is, Gurdeep. While I'm talking, Albert's going to show you around down here. Check out the board above, too, as you see people arriving. We're just waiting for a flight from Brazil to come in. We're told it's a fairly well-loaded aircraft, but some of the others have been light loads, only a few people on board. What's going on right now is U.S. and Canadian officials are sitting down. They're hammering out the final details on basically closing the Canada-U.S. border to non-essential travel. The devil's in the details, as always, and they're working out the definition of what is essential. We've heard from the Premier and the Prime Minister about preserving trade, so we can pretty much guess that commercial truck operators and people in that sort of business will be exempt from this, as well as healthcare folks that live on maybe the opposite border that they work on. That's actually more common than you might realize. There's other people that live and work on opposite sides of the border. They're involved in commercial enterprises, so they'll have to decide if that's part of trade, and even then, what of it might be exempt. Now, all of this is with the border is going to be closed by the end of the week. There's lots of problems with these border closures, though. I just spoke to a young medical student from Vancouver named Omar. He's been trapped here for 20 hours. Here's some of what he had to say.
I wasn't able to board the flight from transiting from Germany to my final destination. And Air Canada, basically, I went to all the representatives here, and they basically kept passing the buck, and they wouldn't give me a refund, they wouldn't change my flight, they wouldn't send me back to Vancouver where I originally came from, and they would tell me to call Air Canada. I would call, no one answers, and the website's not working, nothing, so now I'm here. One guy's finally working on my ticket, but the system, they say it has a problem right now, so I'm still stuck waiting, So,
how long have you been here?
Close to 20 hours, maybe more.
No, I think he's fairly lucky in some ways that he's with this situation, Gurdeep, but there's other folks that are even in more trouble than Omar. He's studying in Belgrade, lives in Vancouver. At least he can get home, and that's one of the trouble with the border closures. In this case, though, we've got some notice. Some of the European ones shut right down. Germany shut down, and he had a connecting flight through there. So even though he's going to Belgrade, where he's welcome, apparently you can't get there from here. Back to you.
Cam Woolley reporting live at Pearson. Thanks for that. And still with air travel, WestJet has confirmed 14 of its flights had passengers on board who tested positive for COVID-19. That means some of the other passengers may have been exposed. 8 of the affected flights either arrived in or departed from Toronto. Public health officials are recommending people who sat in the affected rows to self-isolate for 14 days after arrival and also to monitor symptoms.